RP Show continues live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center and brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. Our lives are the sum of our choices. Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. Joe Madden joins us from Sports Grid. Hey, Joe, you strike me as a Tom Cruise fan. Who isn't, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see Tom Cruise still out there acting. And I've got to tell you, Billy Miner pie, I absolutely love. But one time, instead of the chocolate sauce they're supposed to put on it, a cook put the teriyaki sauce on it. And I tell you, that just was not good.
I
Yeah,
hope they come to
exactly.
your bill. Do you want to tell me which keg it was?
It was a keg in Calgary, the one on 130th. So
Okay,
big
well,
mistake
we
by
all
them.
know. Now we know. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Hey, Joe, I do. Hey, you don't have a lot of time for movies. I swear you're the busiest person, male or female, in show business. The Stanley Cup final game won last night. Did it go the way you thought it would? 4-3 orders in overtime?
Yeah, absolutely. I had the overtime bet. I also had a 4-3 style win for the Edmonton Oilers. The one thing that didn't go the way that I expected was that first period. I expected more of a 2-1 style first period out of the Edmonton Oilers. We know Leon Draisaitl was able to open up that scoring, but the Florida Panthers coming back with those two goals in the first period. I tell you, both of these teams are so deep. This is a fun series for sure, Rob.
Oh, we're in for an epic one. James writes in and says Sam Bennett was the best player on the Panthers last night. Would you go along with that?
You know what? Sam Bennett's been absolutely phenomenal, not only last night, but for the whole playoffs. His ability to just be all over the ice, all over those players, I do agree. He was one of the better players of the night, but the depth of the Florida Panthers is outstanding. You look at Bobrovsky as well. Even in that loss, how many shots he faced last night via Edmonton, and he stood on his head for a lot of those. So it was a great game out of all the players for the Florida Panthers.
Was it not last year, or was it the year before that you went up to Edmonton and you got such a hard time?
I did. It was game 6 last year in Edmonton. I went up there wearing red and black. You know, I was cheering for the Florida Panthers to win it last year. And this year, if we go to 7, I will be at game number 7 up in Edmonton. So fingers crossed on the series going deep to 7. I really hope they can make it there, Rod.
Well, you're just a Calgary gal. I get it. I get it. I get it. But going into this series, the odds makers were saying Oilers in 7, and they were, I believe, home ice was the reason. In a very close series, they're going with the Oilers for home ice. What was your take on the series going in, and what factors do you think are going to end up being a factor?
Well, I look at this one and I do think it is Edmonton's year. And I hate to say that. And it's always for me going into these games for my betting. It has to be money over love because you know my heart is with the Florida Panthers because of Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, and Sam Reinhart out there. And I would love to see them be able to hoist the cup again. But I look at the Edmonton Oilers and the difference this year that they are playing at. They're coming out so nice and strong. You look at Connor McDavid, and I really do think he's going to be such a difference maker in this series this time around. He's really going to rally this team. Leon Draisaitl's playing great, but I have to tip my hat to Stuart Skinner. You know that I've always doubted Stuart Skinner and his abilities out there. And a lot of people do, and we give him such a hard time. But you look at the playoffs as a whole, and Jake Ottinger, you know, he didn't take a lot of slack until that very last game. He allowed in some soft goals during the playoffs, and then Skinner, he has one bad game, and everyone's calling for him not to be an NHL goaltender. And I do hope that he has that success in the playoffs. We have to see the defense giving him the support like they did last night. They held the Florida Panthers, I believe, to 26 shots on goal. And as long as the defense can step up, which Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl hate those questions about their defense, but their defense has really improved from last year. They've made great additions on that team, Wallman and Jeff Skinner as well. And I do think with the depth of this team, even without Zach Hyman, they can get it done. So I took the Edmonton Oilers to take it in 7, 4-3 style for the series coming in at plus 400. But then I had to look at Connor McDavid because I think if they're getting there, Connor McDavid has to get some big numbers on the board. So I took him for the Conn Smythe, but I also looked at him for his 14 plus points If he gets 14 plus points in the series, he picked off 2 last night. He will tie, or he will break Wayne Gretzky's record in the Stanley Cup Finals, 4 points. So look for Connor McDavid, 14 plus points. I really hope he gets there, Rod.
I do too. Well, let's step back from the betting for a moment. There's the debate over, does Connor McDavid deserve a Stanley Cup? And on one hand, I say nobody deserves anything, but on the other, I do. This kid is like, had this discussion on our Panthers podcast yesterday. His legacy kind of hangs in the balance. If he never wins the Stanley Cup, he just can't go on the Mount Rushmore. But if he wins one, all of a sudden, boom, he might be the greatest player ever. That's kind of what he's got hanging on this series. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I completely agree out there because Connor McDavid, if he can't get past the hump again this year, I don't think Edmonton will make it back again next year. I think there's going to be some moving pieces, and I do think it's now or never at this point in his career. And Connor McDavid feels that, and he's really pushing to rally this team. We all look back on the videos of last season in the locker room where he was yelling at his team just to get things done. Not sure if it's the approach to really rally those guys, but he knows best as their captain out there. So I'm expecting him to come out strong. You look at him in those last couple of games versus the Dallas Stars, he was able to get those 3 goals. We know he's so great at getting those assists, but I think the step up of the goal scoring needs to come from Connor McDavid as well, even though they have depth. And I love that top line with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Corey Perry now up there with them. I think Connor McDavid really needs to take a fighting charge in this one. We saw how beautiful that last goal was in that last round by Connor McDavid. I'm looking for some more of that tonight or tomorrow night out of him.
26 shots you mentioned for the Panthers. That's higher than they've had all through these playoffs. As I was saying earlier, they would rather have a low event game, a defensive game, and we'll see if they can dictate that in game 2. I'm not sure they will be able to do that. This has triggered so many keg comments. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in, he says, Billy Miner's responsible for the first train robbery in Canada and coined the phrase, hands up, not start your engines. Chad writes in, he says, I had to Google Billy Miner pie. I don't frequent the keg often enough, I guess. Don't Google it. Go order it. It will change your life. There's more, but back on track here. You were just in Cochrane. You posted it to your social media, so do you mind me asking what took you out to that beautiful area west of Calgary?
Oh, actually, my daughter had a big modeling job out there. So I was out there, drove her out there for the day, and she was getting things done for work. And I went out for a really nice hike. So it was a beautiful time out there.
Oh, you got connected with nature. There's no better place to do it than there. And actually, that's where Joe and I met for the first time with Century Downs Casino. You were going to bring your daughter out and she was going to go shopping, but I don't feel like she didn't come out that day.
No,
Didn't
she
she just stay
didn't.
home? Yeah, teenage
Yeah, she's
girls.
a typical teenager. She just decided she'd sleep. It was too early. I think we met right
Yeah,
around 11:30, noon, probably even 1 o'clock. Too early for her at that time.
exactly. Say no more.
Yeah.
Here's one. I told you this the last time you were on. I was in a pizza parlor in Deerfield Beach, Florida, Paisano's Pizza, and you were on the television on the sports grid. So I said to my buddies, I'm like, I know her. And they're like, no, you don't. The reason I got to ask you, the U.S. viewership to Sports
Mhm.
Grid, it's so different than Canada, right? Like in
Yeah.
terms of what they're into. Like it clearly is a full-time job for you. What are the main things that they want you talking about on Sports Grid?
Yeah, so it's fantastic, Rod, because I'm doing 4 hour shows every Saturday and Sunday, and then stuff during the week. But those 4 hour shows, we're live betting all of these games. So it is so much fun because we're diving into everything that's happening as well as looking at the night games coming up. But the overaction in the lines, and it's something that has been absolutely fantastic for my bankroll and for that money coming in, is looking at when the books just move things way too quick. We know the overreaction, especially out there on the ice and on the hardwood, is crazy. So coming back in on teams that you had a really good feeling about. So yeah, diving into everything. We look at all the major sports, all the college sports. It's a lot of fun.
Well, with there being no NFL or college football games being played right now, let's be honest, come fall, pretty easy to know what you're talking about there. What are they most interested in right now?
Well, we're talking a lot of baseball, of course, looking at all the action out there on the diamonds. The CFL kicks off today, so super excited for that with the Ottawa Redblacks and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I think the Riders are the team out of the West to really watch this year, so going to be focusing a lot on that. But yeah, everything out there on the diamonds, the Stanley Cup Finals, of course, the NBA Finals as well. Let's go Pacers, pull off that upset tonight. Tons of stuff going on. There's still a ton to talk about.
Well, I'm writing this down. I think the Riders are the team to watch in the West. I'm writing that down. That will be the meme, as if you needed to endear yourself even more to Rider fans. There you go. But that's the thing. So I asked you about the U.S. sports, and you
Yeah.
brought it back around to CFL, which has been a very large topic today. You know that we talk about it a lot here on this program. But can I just ask you this about the NBA Finals? Because I don't hear much hype. We used to hear more years ago in Canada about the NBA Finals than I'm hearing this year, or is it just me? I mean, you're using different resources than I am. Is the profile not what it used to be, or am I missing something?
No, you're not missing anything at all. I think a lot of people are turning away from the NBA, and I think it's a product of what we see in the regular season. Because in the regular season, you can't even book to go to a game and expect your favorite player to be playing because you never know when these guys are going to hit
Mm.
the court. They take the rest days, and it's just so different than booking a ticket to go to a hockey game, right? You're going to a hockey game, you know, all of the superstars are playing. Connor McDavid's not going to take the night off just because he feels like a night off. And I think the NBA, it's hard for fans to really get into, and they've become kind of jaded out there. But I do think this is going to be a great finals between the Indiana Pacers and OKC. OKC, huge favorite in this one. I think the Pacers best bet to getting a couple wins is getting these wins nice and early, upsetting OKC in Oklahoma, but it's going to be a hard one, Rod.
Okay, well, I'm I'm glad I didn't completely miss it. I just to go back on. I mean, I'll follow the scores, but I'm going to be
Yeah.
broadcasting baseball myself tonight. You mentioned the CFL kicks off. That's where my focus is. Do you think the NBA is going to examine how they do business? Because I hear a ton of it in Florida, where I live, as you know, for 9 months. Everybody's saying I don't watch the NBA anymore. It's just 3-point shooting. It's crap. It's bad. I don't know enough about it to say whether that's changed or not. But and with the players with the load management, do you think they're going to do something about this?
They really should, and they tried to structure things with different payouts and everything, bonuses and awards for players. They have to play so many games, but I just don't know if the players themselves are going to buy into it and what's going to happen. So they need to make a change because they need that fan base to stick around. And there are some still really solid fans out there for the NBA, but they're losing a lot, and they're losing a bunch in bunches because even as a better Rod, going into these games, there's so many question marks on who is going to be playing and how much they're going to show up in these games. You just don't get the effort. So it's really hard to even trust these players for their prop bets for what you're going to get until you do get off to the playoffs where you're going to get 100% out of them. So it's hard. The regular season, they need to step up. They have to watch that load management and try to work out a way to entice these players to hit the court every night.
You know, I believe you told me at Century Downs that you are an accountant by trade. Am I right on that? An accountant by
Yeah.
trade? So
Yeah,
you're
I
into
had an
numbers.
accounting business.
Yeah, so it works well with betting, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of numbers there. Tell our viewers and me an interesting stat about betting that they wouldn't know, that would blow their minds. And the reason I asked that was I was in a pizza shop. I like pizza. I was in
Yeah.
another pizza shop in Boca Raton, my hometown, and I heard two guys talking over my shoulder about that night's games. I said, "Guys, if you don't mind, who do you bet with?" And they said, "Hard Rock Bet." It's like the number one Florida sports book. But God, people are into it. I don't think people
Oh,
realize
yeah.
how much is into sports betting. Do you have any numbers to back that up, or a stat that would blow people's minds? How
Off
much
the top of my
time and
head,
money are
no.
spent? Okay.
No, but it is insane. We absolutely know it's insane how much time and money is spent on betting, and I think a lot of people they don't realize they can just bet like small amounts, have a little bit of fun getting
Yeah.
into these games, and just stay away from those parlays. But no stats to really back it, Rod. I'd have to like look into some of those numbers. Don't have them off the top of my head, but it's always a great time. And looking at the books and all the things they're enticing you to do, I want to tell you guys, make sure you shop your lines even within the same book. There was to win the Conn Smythe. I was going over a couple of things there. Of course, I've got Connor McDavid, but if you liked Bobrovsky because you think the Florida Panthers were going to win before you went into game one, Bobrovsky was plus 250, but you could have taken a goaltender to win the Conn Smythe, and it was coming in at plus 270. So you're getting 20 cents more by taking the position instead of over one goaltender, which we know Skinner, doubtful that he would have taken the Conn Smythe unless he got, shutout games. So, yeah, really interesting. Shop those lines. It's the best information I probably give you on the books.
This is going fast. I got more questions. We don't have a lot of time, but you mentioned the parlays. Can I ask you, what is your favorite hockey prop bet? Because I'm seeing a lot of
Yeah.
talk of anytime scorer or first goal scorer.
Yeah.
Is there a secret to picking the right guy or gal to
You
score
know, you
first?
really look at things, right? Like looking last night at last night's game, Evan Bouchard coming out with 7 shots on goal in that game. He was unable to hit the back of the net. So Evan Bouchard going into tomorrow's game is someone I'm going to be looking for that anytime goal. We know how strong he is at hitting that puck from the blue line and can have those opportunities to get things done. But you also look Sam Reinhart. I love what we've seen out of Sam Reinhart for the Florida Panthers. Matthew Tkachuk not able to hit the scoreboard either. So there's a couple of players that step up in the playoffs. I love looking at them for their anytime goals. I love looking at someone who was getting those shots, getting that action out there in one game, but unable to hit the back of the net, coming back in on them on the next. But my favorite prop is probably looking at the first period. I love getting in and out of games so fast. I do it all the time in the MLB. I do it out there on the ice. So looking at the over either 1.5 goals in the first period or both teams to score. The over 1.5 is normally highly juiced, especially in a matchup like the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. But when you look at the both teams to score, you're getting great plus money, and you have to believe that you're going to get a goal out of both of them. So it's something I stayed off of last night, was kind of unsure how that first period would start. I was hoping it would be, a 2-1 style for the Edmonton Oilers, but I thought if it's that 1-0 as they kind of come out a little bit cautiously, which we know we didn't see, I didn't want to have the both teams to score at or the over 1.5, because the over 1.5 was probably like minus 150 last night. So I won't lay that much juice. But both teams to score, you're normally getting like plus 160.
Well, it sounds like the game went the way you thought in terms of the outcome. But as I was watching the panel last night after the game, they pointed out it was the first game ever in Paul Maurice's time they've lost after leading after 2 periods. First time ever. That throws a kink into betting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely does. But I think you've got to throw some of those trends like that out the window, especially when you're looking at a game like last night, right? Like we expected that tight game. So those live betting numbers coming back in on the Edmonton Oilers when they were down, you were getting so much great plus money. I think it's another thing for people to look at during the rest of the series. Well, I do think we probably see one game be a shutout for one of these goaltenders. I think we also see another low scoring game. I think the majority of these games are going to be those tight games that we have the opportunity of going to overtime. So if one team does go up by 2 goals in that first period, coming back in on the other team with that plus money, either plus 2.5 on the puck line or straight up on the money line if you have the guts, will be a solid way to go. But you got to watch the flow of the game and how things are going. And that's all about what we do on Sports Grid when we're watching these games on my Saturday and Sunday shifts. So we're watching exactly what's happening out there and giving the best advice on where to jump in.
We're going to have to run here. And right away. So what's quick, your social media handles, can you pass them along for people to follow you?
Yeah, Joe Madden Sports over on all social media, Rod.
All right, Joe, thanks for fitting us in. Keep up the great work and the way you do it, Joe. Salutes to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Rod.
Joe Madden. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way. We're on Game Plus, streaming live and found on all major podcast platforms.